What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Didn't Ask podcast. As always, I'm your host Djimon, and today I will be diving into the world of Reddit to see what the people asked Reddit and didn't ask me. How was everybody's week? I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the sun if you could. If not, I do apologize. Hopefully you got some board games in, some console games in, some mobile games in. Whatever you're into, just let me know in the comments. Today, once more, I will go back into the world of Reddit, going to Ask Reddit subreddit and see what the people asked there. And after that, we will be diving into the Am I the Asshole subreddit to see if the person that's asking the question is indeed the asshole. Well, this is episode 23, if I say so correctly. So we're getting up in those numbers, man. I could not have imagined that I would be doing this podcast for so long, let alone have, the listeners that I have right now. It's been absolutely insane, outrageous. If you have not heard any previous episodes, please go back and listen to those episodes. You can find them on anchor.fm/didn't-ask-pod. That link will be in the show description if you need it. This podcast is also available on every podcast app out there. You name it, this podcast is on there. So you can go back on those apps, pick your favorite one, and you will be able to find my podcast by simply searching for Didn't Ask Podcast. With that all out of the way, let's jump into the first question of today. And this one coming from user Peanatastic. And they ask, what is stopping you from going for a jog? And the simple answer to this question is bad knees. Oh my god, do I have bad knees? I'm gonna tell a little story here. So bear with me. We're going on a walk. Put your shoes on. We're going on a walk, not a jog, because I can't do that. So when I was 7, I started dancing and quickly became, I would say, one of the faces of the dance studio I was dancing at. So I was doing competitions and I was doing performances at like store openings and you name it, basically. I was everywhere, and I was like training many hours a day. I was at some point, I think I was doing like 7 to 8 hours of dance every week, which of course not that much in the grand scheme of things, but for a kid hitting puberty, it became a little hard at a certain point. So hard that I fucked up my knee and tore my meniscus, which resulted in me having to stop dancing and rehabilitate that knee till it got into full power again. But till this day, I have not really been able to fully use my left knee, the one that was surgically repaired, so much so that I cannot jog. The impact on my knee is just way too much for me to take, so I will not be able to jog, sadly. But, there are luckily other things I can do. Right now, I'm focusing more on yoga and making sure that everything is stretched out and that everything functions properly. But yeah, jogging, that's just not going to be it. Sometimes I like walking, but even that sometimes is a little bit hard for my knees and my hips. Seriously, I feel like an old man saying this. My legs are just so bad that I cannot walk for an hour or something, and my hips will hurt and my knee will hurt and everything just sucks. I'm in full-on pain when I do that stuff. So that's why I cannot go for a run, sadly, on one side. Luckily on the other side, because now I always have an excuse to not go running with somebody else. So, Peanatastic, what is stopping you from going out for a run? The simple answer is I have really bad knees. And with my knees, it's just gonna be really hard to run and maintain that. So, yeah, thank you for your question. Going on to the second question of today, and this one was asked by user Yellow Anime Man 69. What comes to mind when you think of Mexico? And for me, this is a fun one because the past weekend I saw the movie Coco for the first time ever. And I know that Coco is a Pixar movie, but for some sort of reason I hadn't really watched it ever because I guess it's about Mexican culture and I wasn't really that interested in the story from what I could see. But because kind of funny, the YouTube channel that I follow very closely is doing a Pixar in review. And they are just going through all the Pixar movies one by one. And this week's it was Coco. So for that, I was just like, I think it's finally time for me to watch Coco. And man, what an awesome movie is that! The whole story behind it, Miguel getting sucked into the spirit world and then basically losing his life, it's so cool. And that made me think of what you think about when you first think of Mexico, and the answer is a sugar skull. The Day of the Dead is such an iconic holiday for the Mexican that it is so iconic that you can see the sugar skull and immediately know where it's from or what it's based on. I mean, it's based on a skull, but based on what holiday, I mean. So that was the first thing I think about because you see a lot of sugar skulls in that movie, and it's the way the movie shows the dead characters without them being scary because the whole movie is full of very, I mean, they're very dead and they're all skeletons, you know what I mean? But by having the sugar skull pattern on their skulls, it really makes the movie a lot more friendly and, of course, family friendly in that way. And again, it's super iconic. And coming back to the movies I watched this weekend, I also watched Candyman 3 Day of the Dead. And of course, Day of the Dead, and it's more, which I kind of didn't like about Candyman 3 is the fact that Candyman is basically, I need to watch my word. I'm saying the word a lot. The movies are very much based in black culture. So the first one is in like like a hood type situation where the black culture, of course, very much based in violence and gang wars and stuff like that, which of course is a bit of a stereotype, but it is what it is. The second movie takes this voodoo type approach where they base the story in New Orleans. The third one basically goes to, I think it's Los Angeles, where it's not no longer black based but Mexican based, which of course it's fine, I guess. But to me, it was kind of sad that they took a story that was operated and basically surrounding black people and then they took that away from black people, from us. But once again, coming back to the question, in that movie, like I said, it's more based around Mexican culture, and like the title says, it's Day of the Dead. So in that way, it also fits in with this. And there is one kid there that goes candy, candy, and then gives the woman, the protagonist, a sugar skull that's actually made of sugar. So yeah, so coming back to the question asked by user Yellow Anime Man 69, what comes to mind when you think of Mexico? And that would be the sugar skull. It's such an iconic imagery of having the skull with the pattern on it that people tattoo it that have basically never gone to Mexico or are no way related to Mexicans, just because it's such an iconic thing and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. So I would say sugar skulls is the first thing I think about when I think about Mexico. Thank you for your question, Yellow Anime Man 69. Now, going on to the third question of today. And this one was asked by user Denny Fiambre. And they ask, what's the appropriate response to seeing boobs? And this is a funny question because I'm a boob man myself. I love boobs. Give me all of them. I want them all. But the question is, what's the appropriate response to seeing boobs? And honestly, I don't really think that there is an appropriate way to react to boobs. And of course, everything is based around the moment. What is the moment? Am I seeing boobs in a movie theater? Am I seeing boobs while sitting at home? Is my family there? Am I just in the middle of the street and somebody shows me boobs? Like, there are so many different ways to see this question and react to that with that, because I'm from Amsterdam, simply put, and of course we have the red light district. And one of my favorite stores, it's called Hank Comics, and it's basically the only real comic book slash collector's store that we have in Amsterdam, at least that I'm aware of. And their store is at the Zeedijk, which is past the red light district if you're coming from the city center, if you're coming from Dam Square, if you're familiar with the surroundings. So I always walk through the red light district when I have to go to the comic book shop. And there, of course, you see a lot of boobs, no nipples, but like they wear, skimpy clothing, barely any clothing. They wear like small, tiny micro bikini tops and shit like that. And there, my response is just to look down and basically not react and just walk as fast as I can. But if I am watching a TV show at home and I don't know, I see the actress that I have known known of for years, and all of a sudden she takes her top off, I go, whoa, what's going on here? You know what I mean? That's what's happening. Same thing when I watch a show like Below Deck, a movie about boats and stewardesses that have to change sometimes, and sometimes they're in their bra, and I go, oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? There are so many different responses to the question that's being asked here. And again, like I said, I don't really think there is an appropriate way to respond. Because if your girlfriend takes her top off, you go, whoa, that's nice. You know what I mean? Or something in that way. But sometimes, like I said, there is not really a good response, an appropriate response. And I feel like most of them are based on what the scenario is. Am I seeing it while at home? In a movie theater, I would probably just go, just a sniff, and then continue with the movie to just make as little as possible of a reaction. But again, if I'm home, I just go, whoa, and maybe even screenshot it because I don't know, I'm a weirdo. But yeah, if it's my girlfriend, my future girlfriend, I should say, because I'm lonely. I am so lonely. If it's my girlfriend, I mean, the first couple of times you, of course, go, whoa, you have really nice boobs. But after the first couple of times, you should probably just be quiet and just, take care of business. Because we're taking care of business. Thank you, Danny Fiambre. What's the appropriate response to seeing boobs? And again, I don't really think there is an appropriate answer to boobs because we're probably gonna just lose our minds anyways. Thank you for your question. Going on to the penultimate question of the Ask Reddit subreddit. And this one was asked by user Den-369. And they ask, why do you like potatoes? But I really like potatoes because potatoes are very versatile. You can have just regular cooked potatoes, you can bake them, you can oven bake them, you can have fries, you can have potato waffles, you can have tater tots. There are so many things you can put potato in, and that's why it's such a nice vegetable. What is a potato actually? Is it just a potato? Is it a grain? What is a potato? I will look this up in my spare time because that's an interesting question I'm asking myself right now. But yeah, so um, potatoes are very versatile, and you can basically have them with every meal of the day because you can have like hash browns, or you can have like those potato cubes. You know what I mean, with an egg in the morning. Again, like I said, you can have some tater tots in the afternoon. You can have fries in the afternoon. You can have cooked potatoes, baked potatoes, jacket potatoes. So many potatoes. I really like potatoes. You can have mashed potatoes. Go to Nando's, get that creamy mash. You know what I'm saying? Man, a potato is just such a versatile vegetable, fruit, grain. I am not sure. Again, I'm gonna look that up because that's an interesting question. But yeah, I would say it's just an extremely versatile product, and you can do whatever the fuck you want with it because you can make, I don't know, potato pancakes and shit like that. But you can also, like I said, make tater tots and fries and mashed potatoes. You can boil them. You can whatever the fuck. It's such a great product. We need to use potatoes more, I guess. I don't know. So then, Dash 369, why do you like potatoes? Just because they're extremely versatile. I'm gonna eat potatoes tonight. Gonna eat fries tonight. Gonna eat some French fries. So that would be great. Thank you for your question, Dan. Going on to the final question of the Ask Reddit subreddit for today, and this one was also asked by a Dan, but this one was asked by user DanDong77, and they ask, what is something that everyone should have in their home? And for me, that would be air fresheners and air diffusers and stuff like that. Because, or aroma diffusers, I should say, not air diffuser, aroma diffuser. I am very self aware of smells, and sometimes smells can be so bad that you have to spray something in your room. So I got a room spray for my work for Christmas, which was really nice. So now every time I feel like, oh, my room smells a little bit, I use my room spray to clean that mess up. We of course have a air freshener in the toilet, so that when you take a big number two and it smells really badly, you can just spray that shit away. Hey, not pun not intended. And for my own room, I have those, those stick diffusers, the perfume diffusers that has like oils in there, and then you put the wooden sticks in and they disperse the smell. So that would be my answer to that question. Because, yeah, like I said, I am just very self aware of smells, and I don't want my room or my house to smell. So we have two air fresheners here. I got room spray, and then I got the diffuser sticks. And we have a couple of more of those things, I think, around the house. Because they're just so nice. They're just so nice to just have a nice smell. And I also have a lot of scented candles, which also really work very nicely. But nowadays, it is summer, even though it's not really that warm here. But it still means that it is warmer than I want it to be. So I'm not really using my scented candles right now, because otherwise my room will get very hot, especially when I'm playing games like I mostly do at night nowadays. So going back to the question asked by user DanDong77, what is something that everyone should have in their home? And that would be, for me, something to, make it smell nice. So a room spray and a perfume diffuser, a scented candles, something like that. Now, I am seeing the top comment on this Reddit post, and it was submitted by Shlokaru, and they said a fire extinguisher. And a fire extinguisher is something that I actually really want in my life. And I probably should get one because it's just always really nice to have something there for safety keeping. Because I don't want my house to burn down. I don't want anybody's house to burn down. So having a fire extinguisher and maybe even one of those fire blankets would be a great addition to my house. So I'm gonna keep that in the back of my head, schlockaroo. Because a fire extinguisher is a very smart idea. Thank you for your comment. And thank you for your question, DanDong77. And now, going to the final inquiry of today. Coming from user throwaway29LH. And of course, as always, coming from the MID Asshole subreddit. And user throwaway29LH asks, am I the asshole for throwing away my pet at an acquaintance's house? Throwaway because I'm sorry of embarrassment about this. And I can tell you, you shouldn't be embarrassed. Let's start this off right. I met a dude on Tinder a few weeks ago and we seemed to really hit it off. We had a lot of the same hobbies and I felt a spark between us that I'm sure he felt too. After we got past the talking phase, we decided to meet at his house for coffee. It was great when I arrived. We talked loads and even held hands. However, I was on the third day of my period and after a couple of hours I needed to change my pad. I asked for the bathroom and he directed me to it. After I finished changing, I noticed the trash can was pretty full. Not sure what to do, I wrapped it in toilet paper and sort of smoothed it into the trash can so it isn't sitting on the edge. Waiting out for about an hour more and he excuses himself to the bathroom. A few minutes pass by and he comes out and he says he needs to talk with me. He said that I shouldn't have thrown away my pad because he might touch it when taking out the trash and that it was gross and unsanitary. Apparently he saw that the trash looked different, unwrapped the toilet paper and saw my used pad. I was mortified. I apologized profusely and he seemed to take it well. He just told me to not do it again. And if I needed to go, just walk a few blocks to a nearby grocery store to change. I left after that, not to think too much of it. However, I recounted the event to a few friends and they think he's a major asshole. I'm not entirely sure. He was really kind about it and didn't seem to get angry, but I'm also starting to see their point too. It's a normal body process for people with a uterus and I agree should be more normalized. I'm just not sure what to think. And any judgment would be greatly appreciated. I can tell you right away, throwaway. You are not the asshole. This guy is the asshole. You are on your third day of your period. That shit happens. I'm so sorry for that it happens to women. But there is certainly nothing we can do about it. And it is a normal thing. So for him to make such a big deal about you having to change your pad and throwing it in the trash can, because it was in the trash can, it's his fucking thing to take it out of the trash can. You did everything you had to do. You wrapped it in paper. It was totally fine. Nothing wrong. And this asshole unwraps the paper, apparently, and sees the fucking pad and then starts yelling or like starts going in on you, saying that you have to walk a couple of blocks to the nearby grocery store to change your pad. What is this bitch? Honestly. If he wants to get his dick wet, because that's what he wants to fuck you. And that this is gonna be the fucking issue when you have a pet. Dude, you're gonna fucking put your dick in this girl. And you're gonna be worrying about something that comes out of it. Like, dude, you're such a bitch. So, throw away. First off, you're not the asshole. Clearly not. This guy is the asshole. And saying maybe like, oh, you maybe don't throw it away there, maybe throw it away somewhere else. You know, like maybe that was a thing for him that, hey, next time throw it in Not in the bathroom trash can, but in the fucking kitchen trash can or whatever. Then I kinda, would have had some sympathy for this guy, but this motherfucker actually said that you have to walk a couple of blocks to the nearby grocery store to change your pad. That's outrageous to me. It's again a natural occurrence, like throwaway is saying, like you were saying, throwaway. It's a natural thing that happens to all women. It's nothing weird about it. And if this guy wants to fuck you, because that is basically the real thing about Tinder, right? Everybody wants to have sex. So if he wants to do that but doesn't want to deal with the things surrounding that, then you don't deserve it. So throwaway 29. Am I the asshole for throwing away my pet at an acquaintance's house? No, you're not. Especially not when the person is presumably like sexually attracted to you. That makes the situation even worse. So I'm just gonna say you're not the asshole. He clearly is. He is a bitch. Stay far away from this guy because he doesn't deserve your time. Thank you for your question. And that brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Didn't Ask podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave a rating on Apple Podcast. If you do, I will be reading those ratings in the future. So please, please, please do that. If you want to ask a question for yourself, then you can go to anchor.fm/didn't-ask-pod. Once again, that link will be in the show description. If you visit that website, you will find a block, like a text block. You can press that and then you will be able to record your message asking your question to me personally. I will then be able to splice that voice clip into the show so you can hear your own voice on this show right here. If you don't want that, which I can 100% understand, please just say it up front when you speak in the message and you just go, hey, can you read this out, or please don't play this on the podcast. Then I will just read out the question myself so your question can still be answered live on air. I will be back next week, and in the meantime, you'll be able to see what I'm watching through tracked.tv. That link will also be in the show description. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe on the podcast feed. If you're watching this on your podcast feed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will be able to find it on YouTube very easily by searching for the Didn't Ask podcast, and it should pop up very quickly. Well, that was it for me for this week. I hope you had a good time, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. I'll see you back later. Goodbye.